Hi, everyone, and a very good evening to you all. We are going to start our OVC Passport Pals presentation this evening. I'm joined by my fellow colleagues. So we have Tiffany and we have Phillipa, we have Anthea, and we have Kendra. And between the five of us, we will be giving you some insight, hopefully, to all pairs experiences and kind of questions. So we're going to run through a series of questions that we've already pre-prepared. However, if there are any questions that we haven't answered at the end of the presentation, we will have a Q&A session. So you are welcome to pop those questions into the chat. If you're on Facebook, you're welcome to put those into the comment section. And if you're brave enough at the end, we can also, or you can also unmute yourself and go live. So I'm going to hand over to Kendra. Kendra is going to quiz our all pairs. So I think our first slide is we're going to start off with Tiffany. So Tiffany, do you want to just give a quick introduction with regards to who you are and your au pair experience?
Yes, sure. Hey guys, my name is Tiffany. So I was an au pair over 2022, 2023 period. I only stayed for a year, but I was in Philadelphia and I had two beautiful little boys. I had a baby and then a 4-year-old.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And Philippa, do you want to give us a quick intro?
Yes, hello everyone. So I was an au pair straight out of high school. I did 2 years, 2018, 2019, and then I was actually a return au pair. So I went back after my 2 years in South Africa and I went to do another 2 years in America. My first 2 years I was in California and Georgia, and then my second 2 years I went back to my Georgia family, and I had 5 host kids. And I had a newborn, a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 12-year-old. So very busy.
Very, very busy. All right, I think we're going to start our questions. Hey, Kendra, over to you to ask all the nitty-gritty.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, so the first question we have received is for Philippa, and it's what are the key points you looked for when you were finding an au pair agency to go through?
Okay. So when I first heard of au pairing, it was really interesting because I was not the type to go straight to university. So I was like, I really want to do something in childcare, but teaching is not my thing. So I'd heard about au pairing at our school expos, and I just loved it ever since I was in grade 10. So when I got to matric, I like ran to OVC because I knew them the most. It was really nice because they were local in my area. So, and with me, like I wanted to meet the agents I was working with. So that was really helpful. So definitely the fact that they made a plan to see me in person. The next one was that they made me feel safe, that their program would be like super safe for me and they would take care of me, and the agency that they worked with, because obviously we work with au pair care, that they would also take care of me while I was over that side. I also liked the fact that they would check in very often with me, like asking, do you have any questions about the program? Can we help you with anything? And also, I really love that they support you throughout the whole of your application process, because that's quite important when it can be quite daunting when you got to do visas and all of that. But obviously, really did make me feel comfortable because they literally help you with everything.
That's awesome. Great to hear that. So now moving on, we've actually received quite a lot of questions, and this is the most common one for Tiffany. What did your area director do in the country to help you get to know, obviously, the area that you're staying in and kind of the au pair she has in her area to make friends?
Yeah, so my area director, well, all the area directors are super involved, not in an overly involved way, but it's really nice because they would check in. So as soon as I arrived in America, I got a message from my area director asking to meet me for a coffee, and then she came to fetch me. We had a little chat at a coffee shop. So yeah, I got to know her a little bit. And then every month she would do au pair events. So with other au pairs in the area, she would do like she'd plan hikes, she would plan like for Valentine's Day, I think it was last year, she had like a little girls like Valentine's Day thing where we made cookies, we made our own earrings. It was really, really cool. Yeah, there were also times where um she would get our host families involved as well and do family things so the host families could also meet each other. Um, but that's also how I met most of my friends, through doing these little monthly meetups. So initially you would be like, oh, like I don't know, but it's such a good way to meet people and build a community there. Um, yeah, and just really the best way to make friends, because then from there you can just be like, hey, let's meet up, and then do your own things and also ask the area director for suggestions on where to go, and she would happily give suggestions.
That's so cool. Do you still speak to some of your friends that you obviously made, obviously if they're not from South Africa or America?
Yes, yeah. So a few of us have a group on Snapchat because Snapchat is huge in America. So I have like it's literally all of flags, and then we keep in touch every day. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Moving on. So for Philippa, it's actually for Tiffany, sorry. How easy was it to make friends? So obviously with the play of your area director, but obviously awkward. No, not everyone's the most friendly person. So how easy was it for you to make friends just on the program?
It was honestly easier than you would think. So, funny enough, I did have a few South African friends who stayed around. I think there were like nine of us all like together, but in different states, but close enough. And through that, we just kind of met each other's friends as well. And through other au pairs, there was one au pair that got Bumble, like Bumble BFF in America, and a lot of people actually use that.
It's
And
cool.
through like Bumble, whoever doesn't know what Bumble is, it's kind of like a Tinder but for friends. Um, so you can literally you will like put a photo of yourself, say like what your interests are, hobbies, and you guys can message each other being like, hey, let's plan a trip, like something like that. It's so common. So she did that, and then we ended up just all meeting each other, and yeah, it was really easy. It's so easy to build a
That's so
community.
cool. I actually didn't know that you got Bumble for friends. Really
Yeah.
interesting. All right, so moving on, Philippa, what did you and your friends do on your off days or off weekends?
Yes. So I had a lot of American friends. I did hang out with some of my au pair friends, but the majority of the time I got involved with the church near me, and I literally had about 20 other friends that were Americans. So it was really helpful because they knew where the good spots were. And it was really cool. We made like a bucket list of a whole bunch of things that I really wanted to do, and they tried so hard to tick every single one of them. So it was really fun. We went on hikes, we went to theme parks, we did community service within our church, but also in the small town we lived in. And we also actually, because one of my friends, she worked at an American summer camp, which is what also another program we do sell. But she works there, and she invited my whole friendship group to go and stay at her summer camp during the summer, because obviously they don't have camps during the summer.
So
So that was
cool.
really cool. I got to experience an American summer camp just in winter. So it was stuff like that where like they just really tried to make my experience the best possible. Um, and I think that's the most important thing. Like when you're in your area, try and find people who know the good spots as well, but also like to just go out there. Like you're not gonna find the good spots if you stay at home. Like the best thing to do is just go out and explore.
That's true, hey. And you can't always rely on Google to find the best spots. I mean, people that live there will know it.
Yeah.
All right. So, Tiffany, how did you deal with homesickness? I get this question a lot because it's scary. I mean, you're in a different country, You miss your family, you miss your mom, you miss your dog. So how did you deal with it?
So personally, I didn't struggle a lot with homesickness because I had traveled previously. But a lot of my friends struggled quite badly with it. And the way they would cope, or if I did have a low day, is just communicate and talk to your host family. Tell them how you're feeling, tell them where you're at, because when they know where you're at, they can also try and like make it a little bit more comfortable for you. Then also just establishing a routine, keeping yourself busy, going to a gym, just doing self-care, lots of self-care as well. Um, yeah, just really like having grace for yourself and looking after yourself and realizing that it's okay to feel the way that you're feeling.
Yeah.
Like you said, you are living away from home, it's new, but also just maybe just have a phone call with your mom and dad. Like, stay in touch with your loved ones at home, but also don't get too fixated on just keeping in touch with your loved ones. Try and get out of that. Try and focus on getting out, doing activities, chatting to your yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that sometimes obviously you constantly are talking to your family back home, do you think that would actually add on to homesickness instead of making it better?
I think it could. I definitely think it could make it worse because you're like, oh, I miss you so much. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that it's good to still be like, this is where I'm at. Like, I don't know how I'm feeling, and just have that motherly comfort, but you can also get that. Like my host mom was super amazing. Um, so yeah, I just went to her and she was like so sweet about everything.
Well, that's good. At least you didn't battle too badly and you managed to overcome it at the end of the day. Moving on. So, Philippa, how or what did you do to win over your host kids? Because when you get there, I know these kids are like, here's this random lady coming to look after me. I'm not going to like her. How did you win them over? You just got to unmute. Sorry, Philippa. Give me a
Okay,
second.
there you go.
There we go.
So yeah, I had a lot of host kids. So it did help with the busyness a lot because a lot of them would just play with each other. So it was just really helpful where it was more like a whole soccer team, but it was really fun. But in the beginning, it did take some time. I still remember the first time so obviously I was with my Georgia family. I finished with them when they only had 3 host kids, and the youngest one was 7 months at that time. So when I came back after my 2 years, then I remember the first week I worked, he was like 2 at the time, and he literally sat in one of those playhouses with all his stuffed animals in there, and he just screamed, and I just didn't know what to do. Like, then I started crying. We were both crying together, and it was like, we don't know what to do here. But honestly, like, that was the best thing for us because we were like, we just needed to let out our emotions.
No.
We knew this is like a new beginning. So, but I'm like so close with him because like we've just been through so much together, and I think it's for me it's the calmness when they can see that, like they can see that you are struggling. But there was like a point where my host kids knew if I was just having like a really hard time with one of them, they just weren't listening, they'd be like, oh, okay, we need to step back and like just give her some space. So yeah, I think it's more about learning your children's their personalities and how you can adjust your manner towards them, because then they can see that you really are trying to treat them differently, where like one kid, they don't react to things but some kids do. So
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, just giving yourself time. It takes time. Like I said, we just needed to cry together in order to do it, and sometimes you have to do that. But yeah.
So crying wins them over.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Don't cry all the time. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So, Tiffany, what are some of the most important questions to ask a host family when you're interviewing with them?
Yeah, I think when you initially interview with your host family, get a good like ask them about what their expectations are, asking about any house rules that they have. Ask about the children. They want you to ask about their children because at the end of the day, that's why you're going. So ask about their personality, maybe even depending on their ages, ask if you can speak to the children or see them over the video call while you guys are having a chat. I do think it's important to refrain from asking salaries too early, like what car you're driving, anything like that. Rather get to know them first. Yeah, and just ask how they would run their house, how they discipline their kids. That's a big one. Because a lot of like host families, like you don't shout, like obviously you do not kid. But just see where they're at in terms of that and how they want you to discipline the kid. If the kid ever misbehaves or so on.
Okay, so it's best just like with any random thing you would want to know about a family, just throughout the application, just to write down, even if it's a silly question, obviously,
Yeah.
it's your program, you want to know about it. So,
Yeah, and I mean, you are living with these people, so you want to know as much as possible before
yeah.
you go.
Okay, awesome. Philippa, what are some of the highlights from your program other than crying in your host child's little playhouse?
So probably my biggest highlight is becoming a big sister because I never had siblings that were younger than me, so it was honestly the best thing ever because you don't think that you can love other kids as much as like you really do at the end of your program, where it's heartbreaking just leaving because it's like you feel like you're leaving them behind. So that's definitely my biggest thing, but also just the fact of how welcoming the families are, like the outside families other than your host family. Like
Yeah.
you are treated as their grandchild or their sister, and it's like it's so fun because you don't think, once again, you don't expect to be welcomed so nicely into other people's families, but they literally, you are there to help their family, so they are so thankful for you. So just remember that like they sometimes it can be like really hard working in a different family and being a part of a different family, but
Yeah.
like when I left, my host parents wrote me this letter of like how thankful they really are of like what we do in
Oh,
host
that's
family
sweet.
lives. And I think we just need to remember that sometimes that we do a lot more than we think we do. So that's always very important. And then also like going on family vacations, that was always really fun because then you get to make memories with everybody. And then another one of my really special memories was my host mom. So she would always cook dinner, but she would always make she would make sure the kids were doing something while she was doing dinner so that I could sit there with her, and she would teach me all these recipes that she would make so that when I had my own home one day that I could take these recipes home and make them for my family. And that was just like so special that
So
she could
special,
tell
yeah.
that I really loved spending that time with her. So she made an effort to like make sure the kids weren't bothering me or her and
Yeah.
could have that time together. So it's stuff like that where like, yes, you're there for the kids, but also like it's really fun making those relationships with the parents as well.
That's so cool, man. Oh, how sweet. Tiffany, what are some of the states you visited? Obviously, I hope you didn't just stay in your state for 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, so I can definitely say I did not necessarily use my program to save. I used it to travel. I went to over 13 states because staying like it's just everything's so accessible. You can go via bus, you can go via train. So a few of the states I went to California, New York, North Carolina, Georgia. I went skiing in Aspen in Colorado, Washington, D.C., Nashville. Yeah, it's so cool to see how you can do everything in America. Like I always make a joke being like, haha, America think they're the world. But they're really like you can literally do everything in America that you can go skiing on one part of the country, and then you can go to like the most beautiful island on the other part. So it was kind of like just getting like a little world travel in.
That's so cool. Philippa, did you visit any other states?
Yes, I went to about 10 different states, but I did most of that traveling in the first year. My
Oh,
second
wow.
year, I actually I had a plan. I was like, this time round, I'm gonna save, and I did. And that's how I actually bought the OVC franchise in PNB. So
Yeah.
yeah, so there are so many, you can save it, you can spend it, you can do whatever, you can bring it home to study afterwards. Like yeah, the possibilities are endless with this program.
That's awesome. Glad to know that you guys went out and experienced America, because there's nothing worse than you pay all this money to go somewhere and you're so fixated on the money that you actually don't get to be in the experience, as to say. So it's nice to see that you guys got out, saw quite a bit, which is great. Philippa, how was the process of getting an American driver's license? This is one of the most frequently asked questions I face on a day-to-day.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just say it is so much easier than South Africa. So how it works is you go for your learner's permit, which is basically your learner's license, and it's an online thing that you go. Well, it's not online. You go to the license department, and then you do it on a computer. And then once that's done and you pass that, then you book your license. And it's super simple. The only thing within like the yard is you do your parallel parking, your reverse parking, and I think that's it. Yeah, yeah, just those two. Okay. And then after that, you just go around like a tiny little circle thing, like obviously outside the license department, but it's like a
Yeah.
quick drive around, come home, you pass. Like that's literally it. So
Okay.
it really is so much easier. You don't have to do any car checks or anything, which is really nice. And I always suggest to my girls to, as soon as you get to your state, to start practicing your driving, because I know we all get our international driver's licenses, but it's really nice to just have the actual state license, just to have it. So yeah, so I would always recommend that you just go get it because it's super easy.
Okay, cool. And then with the drivers, now obviously it's compulsory to have a driver's license to do the American au pair program. So does it go according to your South African license? So if you have only an automatic South African's license, do you then just do an automatic American license?
No, so I missed that actually. So every single car in America is automatic. So
Oh,
you don't have to worry about manual cars.
lovely.
So which is really nice because obviously you don't have to worry about shifting or anything. That's why I
Yeah.
say it's so easy because
What
it's
a
a
breeze.
automatic car. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tiffany, did you have to open a US bank account, and how was the process? Did someone, Dr. Joe's parents, help you? How was the process of doing that?
So yes, I did have to open a US bank account. I think most au pairs just do it because it's easier for the host family to pay you every week. But it was a super, super easy process. My host mom actually came with me. She didn't have to. So before, obviously, we go to America, we have all of our set documents from
Yeah.
OVC that they helped us with. So it's like your proof of residence, and the fact that you are like on a certain visa. And I didn't actually, some banks you do need to have your social security card. I
Yeah.
didn't need a social security card. So
Oh,
I could open an account without my social security card as long as I had the like proof of residence and like proof of like the visa that I was on. But it took so quick. I think we were in and out like in 10 minutes. And they were so nice about the whole process and during the process. And I got my card within a week.
oh,
Um,
okay. Simple.
Yeah, no, super, super easy.
Okay, Liz, because I have a lot of girls ask me on a daily basis. They're worried about that, but I always tell them, it's best to also ask that in the interviewing phase with host families. Like, for
Yeah.
example, not being fixated on the money, but I'm a little bit nervous about opening a US bank account with regards to that. Will they help you? So that's quite a nice thing also to ask
Yeah.
families when
Oh,
someone
absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's like you can do it alone, but it's just better to just say, please, can you come with me? Like, I don't necessarily know where to go. And just also having that moral support next to you,
Yeah.
helps a lot. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Philippa, what were some of your house rules as an au pair?
Yes. So my number one rule that with my Georgia family was that I wasn't allowed to post the host kids anywhere, like on my socials or anything. They wanted their kids off the internet, which is totally valid. And you will get a lot of those families, especially in these days, that will ask of that. So it's very important to respect that. Obviously, like my host parents were fine with me taking photos with them. I just weren't like, I have so many photos of my host kids, but I just wasn't allowed to post them. So that's a question to ask families, like in your interviews as well. Be like, are you happy with me posting the kids? Because I think they'll really like the fact that you are willing to respect that rule.
Yeah.
Then with my host mom, we like every time I would leave the house, because I had my own car that I used, loved my minivan. And so I would use the car for like my own errands as well, or if I went out with friends. And like she asked me to do it one time where I would just let her know when I was on my way home, and it just became an everyday thing. So every time I left somewhere, especially at night, during the day it wasn't really a big thing, but at night, she always really liked me just letting her know when I was on my way home in case something happened. So that was a rule we kind of just came up with together that we just stuck to. Then, because you're all living in a house together, obviously I had 8 people living in my house. So there were lots of sleeping kids. So after 8, or if I went out during the evening, they just asked if I would be like super quiet coming in, because otherwise you wake up the whole household and then everyone back. So yeah, that's a big one that most families will ask. That you won't necessarily have a curfew. There are some parents who do give you a curfew, but I think that just gets built on as your relationship builds. Because in the beginning they gave me one, but then towards the end they were just like, as long as you're home and you are home in time to get 8 hours sleep before your next working shift, then they were like happy whatever time I would get home. And then a big one is no phones during working hours. Because I think some girls, they think they can just like go on their phones while the babies are playing or whatever. But it can happen so quickly where something goes wrong, kid is choking or something. So it's very important to always watch your kids. And they were just, because I had so many, I had to like keep my eyes everywhere. I didn't have time to be on my phone, honestly. But yeah, so those are our major ones.
Okay, awesome. Tiffany, what were your favorite activities to do with your host kids?
So I loved getting the kids outdoors. I didn't want to be just sitting there while they had screen time. So I had a little baby and I had a 3-4-year-old at the time. But it was really nice because I went during the summer. I got there during summertime. So I made sure that we were outside the whole time. There was a park like 500 meters down the road. So took them to the park, played with them. The baby was easy because I had him on that little
harness.
in the little harness. So that was really easy. So I could still pay attention to the little 3-year-old, push him on the swing, and they loved it. And it also tired them out for nap time, which was great. But there were also playrooms. There's these little playrooms everywhere where I think it's about $10, and obviously you don't pay for that. The host family pay for that. But It's a full-on kid-proof playroom with ball pits, trampolines, everything, and they could just go wild. So when the baby started to get a little bit older, I would take them there just so it was more manageable for
Yeah.
them to enjoy. But yeah, there's a whole bunch. There's arcades, which was super cute. The one time we went to an arcade and it was so cool to see the 3-year-old just like go crazy with games and like win tickets, get a prize, and he was so proud of himself. Yeah, so there's so much to do, but I would definitely suggest doing more outside things with them in summer and then just putting thought and things into winter activities because obviously winter's hard, you can't necessarily go outside. So that's where the playrooms come in really handy. And they have the like alternative of a bounce in America as well. Just yeah, there's a whole bunch of things to do. And also just with your friends, if your au pair friends have host kids as well, like Philippa mentioned earlier, it's so nice to just get them together so that they can train each other as
Yeah.
well. And then you have more eyes on them to just let them play around. Yeah.
And everyone's watching everyone.
Yeah. And even for like Christmas during winter time, we got like little plastic ornaments and it was so interesting. It was like little plastic ornaments and we got crayons and we melted the crayons and put it in the ornaments and we like created our own little ornaments because of the different like shade, like obviously it melted and it just
Yeah.
went everywhere and then we painted them afterwards and that took
Oh,
so
cool.
long, which was really nice. It's so hard
Yeah.
to find an activity that you can keep a child busy with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's so cool, man. Moving on, Philippa, did you have to rematch with a new family on your program, and how was the process for you? Oh, sorry, Philippa, you muted.
Okay. So I did have to rematch 2 times. So my first rematch was with my first family I ever started with. I was with them for 2 months or so. And where that went, so with that match, it just wasn't a good fit. Like when I went there, it just wasn't, I don't know, like we weren't gelling as a
Yeah.
family. So, and I always say that because that they were my first ever interview. I got them within a weekend, and then I was like, yes, I want to match with them. And sometimes that happens where you find a family and you're just like, yes, somebody wants me, let's match with them. But then you don't take the time to actually interview multiple times with
Yeah.
them because you like, they seem amazing, like, yes, let's go. So I think my biggest advice is to take your time to interview families and many families. Like you can take your time, take as long as you want to interview them, but just make sure that you've had multiple interviews with people and that you can just see yourself living in their lifestyle. Okay. So that was my first family. Then I went to another family. I was with them for a year, but then they left the program. So then I had to go into rematch to find another program, another family. So that's when I found my Georgia family, who I absolutely love, which I think is like, it was meant to be because like I absolutely love my family that I finished with and then went back to. So I'm just super thankful for like my journey that went on because I found like my forever family, which is really nice. And with au pair care, because obviously once you're over there and rematch happens, OVC, we can't help you in that process. You
Yeah.
have to work with au pair care. And with my experience, they were with me like through the whole process. When you go into rematch, you can either choose to stay with your host family while you find a new one, or you can ask to go and move in with the area director, which often is the best thing, just so you have
Yeah.
a fresh start and you have time to talk to families and stuff. So your rematch time period is 2 weeks, and it's very seldom that you don't get a family, especially if your rematch wasn't your fault and it was like out of your hands. Like with my
Yeah.
second family, I had to move. So yeah. So I think when it comes to people who are worried about if it does happen, you are really taken care of. And I have nothing bad to say about au pair care. They were just so on top of it. And like even so you have these ladies in America called a matching expert that work with au pair care, and they will try and find you families, and they'll match you or like send you to different families and stuff. So it really is helpful. And also with some families, a lot of them, they are near you. So I
Yeah.
could do multiple in-person interviews because these families were just in my area and they were looking for
Oh,
an au pair.
cool.
So yeah.
Awesome. Tiffany, what did your daily schedule look like on a day-to-day basis?
So my schedule looked a little bit different compared to some of my friends in America. So because I had the little baby, my hours were from 9 to 5, as opposed to, I know, a lot of girls, if you have older children, they're in school. So your hours would be the morning, then they'd go to school, you have that time off, and then you'd fetch them from school, and then do homework, do activities, and whatever you need to. But with mine, it was solely from 9 to 5, and the little 3-year-old went to school, but I obviously had the baby with me, so my daily schedule would just practically do whatever I wanted to, that the baby could come with me to do. So I loved Target. I was at Target every single day. My host family used to make jokes if I wasn't at the house. They were like, no tips at Target. And 90% of the time they were definitely right. So yeah, anything that the baby could come and do with me, we did together. Even if it was meeting a friend for a coffee, Remy, the little baby, came with me, but also just like mommy and me classes. There were little like church, they did it at the church where it was at a coffee shop, and I thought it was really good to get him socialized as well. So he just he didn't just know me. I thought that was very important. Yeah, and then we went home for his nap. His naps ranged, so they could either be 30 minutes or they could be 3 hours. If he had a 3 hour nap, best believe I also had a 3 hour. But yeah, and then depending on how his day would go and how tired he was, he could either have 2 naps a day, so one at 10 a.m. and then another one again at 2 p.m. Sometimes he could literally sleep from 10 to 12 and then 2 to 4.
Yeah.
So that was quite nice. But my host family were actually photographers. So my schedule in general didn't look the same. So if my host family were working on the weekends, I was working on the weekends, and I'd just make up, they would give me that time off during the week. So when I had both kids, obviously that's when we'd go out, do things like have a full day of just activity, so that they both felt like they were both busy. So yeah.
Awesome. And then I think I have one last one from my side. Phillipa, do you still speak to your host family since you've come back and obviously completed the program?
Yes, I do. So I have about one phone call, like one video call with them once a month. It's been a lot of their birthdays lately, so I've literally called like more than once a month lately. But yeah, and then my host mom and I, we talk on a regular, we send things to each other on Instagram, mom hacks and all of that, because I feel like a mini mom. So she still sends me cute activities to do with my kids one day. And also what I thought was super special is she's actually a painter, and she had sent a package home from America for me, and she had painted our house in America. So now I've got
that's so cool.
So now I have a painted house of my American home that I'm going to put up in my house. So
your home away from home.
Yes,
absolutely. In your home.
Yes. So
awesome.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think
that's
we'll
so
lose
cute.
contact ever.
Okay, cool. Let me just check here. All right. So now I'm going to hand it off to Amanda to get the parents' perspective from Philippa's mom, Anthea, of obviously a mom's point of view about her daughter going overseas. So I'm just going to hand it off to Amanda and Anthea.
Thanks, Kendra. So Anthea, I mean, as a parent to a parent, I mean, I'm not there yet, but I can only imagine letting your daughter go overseas, possibly for the first time. It must have been absolutely terrifying. So kudos, because I actually think back to when I first went overseas, and I think, like, how did my parents ever let me go, actually? You know, like, I didn't really have a plan. I didn't really go in a structured gap year, but that's why I think the au pair program makes such an amazing program. So our first question for you would be, like, what made you agree? Or, I mean, I know Philippa was 18, you know, already by the time of it, but what made you feel at ease in terms of letting your daughter go off to the big bad world of the USA?
Hi everybody. So yeah, like you say, it's probably one of the hardest things a parent needs to do is wave at the security checks and your 18-year-old's getting on an aeroplane for the first time, never been in an airport. So yeah, that was a very interesting thing that we went through. But we knew Philippa for her whole life loved children, and we knew it was a lifelong dream to be involved with kids. And we also, as parents, believe that kids should broaden their horizon. It shouldn't only be their reference to life, shouldn't only be where they're at. And so so when she came up with this idea, it was it wasn't really scary because it was something that we'd already decided that we needed to let her go as an 18-year-old. And also, we are very much for gap years because an 18-year-old does not know what they want to do for the rest of their life. And you just hear of so many parents that spend thousands and thousands, and 2 years into varsity or whatever, they've dropped out and they want to do something else. So yeah, so we really did back her idea of taking a gap year.
That's wonderful. She's really lucky to have parents that have supported her throughout the journey. I think that also makes half the battle won. So my next question to you would be, like, how involved were you in the actual application process? Like, did you get stuck in, or did you kind of like let Philippa do her thing?
So we did very little. Because again, if she's going to do something as independent as getting on an aeroplane and flying to another country, she needed to start getting independent from day one. So we wanted her to navigate this whole process. We were there to help her if she needed help, but she needed to do this on her own. And the amazing thing is it's such a user-friendly program. The process, everything is so easy. I think the biggest thing, if I need to give any advice to girls wanting to go on the program or parents listening, is that this is where they market themselves. This is the most important part of the process. If a parent, I've noticed, helping girls now, if a parent, you can see when a parent's done the application, because often those are the girls that really battle over there with homesickness and everything, because mommy's done everything here, now mommy can't help that side. And so, like I say, you can be in the background, but I really would encourage parents to really let it go and let them do the hard work. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then our next question is really like staying in touch. It's actually a question that I get asked quite often from parents, but also applicants themselves, like au pairs. They want to know, like, can I get WhatsApp in the USA, and like, how easy is it to stay in touch? So realistically, like, how often did you and Philippa talk, and how easy was it? Because I mean, obviously there's time zones and all sorts of things as well. So how did you guys do it?
I think initially, well, the first part, when she got on the aeroplane, I was on my phone for 24 hours. I had every single app possible, flight apps, tracking aeroplanes, whatever. But then as soon as she had landed in America, that was when I needed to let go. because yeah, it's not easy for them to try and get into a routine and settle if mommy keeps on asking how they are. And so yeah, it was hard because you want to hear from your child, but we made a point of she's over there for the family. So that is what she needs to be focusing on. And then once she'd got into a schedule, we had kind of worked call times. So it was definitely not me on my phone all the time to see if she's messaged me. I knew what time to expect a call or not expect a call. And I think that's a big thing, is, yeah, to, you know, even kids that these days that go to boarding schools and that, the school says don't contact for the first term or whatever, because it does take about 90 days for somebody to settle in a new environment. So I think you're there for them if they get homesick, but I don't think as parents we should be, you know, hounding them all the time. Yeah.
True. And then just curious, like what made you guys choose OVC as the au pair agency? Like what kind of decisions or things did you look at in terms of choosing OVC as Phillipa's au pair agency?
So I think the biggest thing is that we had face-to-face contact. We didn't want to just going online and filling in a form and then, you know, everything happening like that. The place that I worked, the agency at the time, she used to use our venue as her meeting place. So I got to know her before Phillipa was even out of school. And I just saw the whole ethos of OVC and how they worked and how they really invested in the girls. And were, you know, they had like an open door policy where you could phone, ask questions. If you wanted to have a coffee, we could have a coffee. I think, yeah, Mirinda was Phillipa's first agent, and often I'd phone and say, like, can we just pop in and just have a few things to ask you and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think it was that face-to-face contact. Yeah.
Oh, Mirinda, I didn't know that Mirinda was your first OVC consultant. So that's fantastic. I do remember her. That's lovely. She's a lovely person. And then the exciting part is, did you manage to take a trip to the USA and visit Phillipa?
We did, and we were very blessed to get in before COVID hit.
Wow.
So it was literally 2 months before COVID. They invited us for Christmas. And that was incredible. Yeah, we got to stay with the family, and yeah, just see how that side worked. They were amazing. They introduced us to their friends in the town, and then we got to also visit a bit of America at the same time.
That sounds lovely, really. Like it must have been really quite comforting to actually see your daughter in action, so to speak, and be able to experience and share a little bit of her experience, and so that you could relate a lot to the USA as well. And the penultimate, sorry.
I said it was actually quite incredible to actually watch how she was managing a household.
Yeah, I can imagine. And how she grew.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the penultimate question would be like, would you recommend OVC as an agency to other parents, and why? And, you know, did you guys actually even look at other agencies perhaps?
To be honest, we actually didn't have a look at any others. I know that there are other agencies out there. Most or a lot of them are online apps as well. So yeah, I would definitely recommend OVC. Like I said, we so invested. Phillipa did send her dollars back, and together we bought the franchise. And we would never have done that and invested in something like this if we didn't believe in the program and believe in what it can give kids, you know, young girls going out and experiencing life. I think it's just really an important life skill to learn. Yeah.
That's lovely, and we're very grateful to have both of you in our little OVC family. So thank you so much. And that really just brings us to the end of our little presentation and our TED Talk and all the questions. And just would like to open up the floor to anyone else to ask, are there any questions that you would like to ask? You are welcome to unmute, and if you're brave enough to ask them, or you can pop them in the chat box. If you're listening via Facebook, you can put them in the comment section. But yeah, we'd like to hear if you've got any last minute questions to ask our lovely ladies. It doesn't look like there's any questions in the chat box. And Ken just shaking your head, so I'm imagining that there's no questions in the Facebook. So we possibly have done a really good job, and possibly have really answered everybody's questions.
Or Amanda, someone just
Raise
put
their
something.
hand. Yes. Turi, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hi, I hope everyone is doing great today.
Yes, thanks so much. What's your question for us today?
The question is on Philip. Did she have a driver license before she moved, before she opened?
Yes, I had my driver's license for South Africa. Yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
I see there's a question from Keone. She wants to know how does it work?
You're muted, Amanda.
Oh, sorry. There's a question from Keone. She wants to know how does it work with your phone, and like when do you get like a phone from the host family? That's actually quite a good question to ask. And does your phone work in the States? Because I get that often.
Okay. So when I got there, I got a phone that my family had given to me. But a lot of families, they will have like a work phone for their au pairs, where like every au pair will just get the phone once the next one leaves. And then there's this new thing called an eSIM, where you can keep your SIM card, your South African SIM card, in your phone, and then you also get another eSIM. I didn't have one, but I've heard that it's amazing. It's basically so you don't have to change SIM cards all the time. And then it'll just work where your WhatsApp will still work, but then you'll also have your American number as well. So, and they will all, like the first week that you're there is usually when they will, they'll do your bank accounts, they'll make sure you have your phone, they'll make sure all those things that you need to like live your life, they will make sure you have it all sorted.
That's great. And then there's another question from somebody who wants to know if it's possible to apply and not end up matching with a family, and what would the reason be? I don't know who wants to answer that one.
I can answer it.
Okay, go ahead, Phillipa.
Okay. So we always say that the more impressive your profile is, the better families you're going to get, and the more families you're going to get. So we can't exactly tell you how long the matching process is going to take, because it's up and down, like whether there are lots of families in the pool or there's like minimum families. So for a reason, for instance, that you wouldn't be getting families is your hours that you have, your childcare hours. So the minimum is 300 minimum hours.
Yeah.
So if it's very close to that 300, it's gonna be hard to get a family. I always ask my au pairs to try and get above 700 to get the good ones, because they really want to see that you're super experienced and that you have like a wide range of childcare experience, because it just makes them feel more at ease and like more relaxed that you can take care of children and that you're reliable. So I would say the main thing would be your childcare hours, and then also your video. A lot of families, like, they are drawn to the video and that's what they watch first. So if I had a au pair, one of my au pairs where she had taken her video and she had barbed wire in the background, very random, but she just wasn't getting matched. And she had like 2,000 hours under her childcare. And I was like, this is very confusing. But then I was like, let's just try and change up the background of your video and see what will happen. And she got a family like in a few days. So it's things like that where we don't really realize it affects families' decisions, but they just want to see like happiness and like airy greenery and stuff like that, because that's just what they're trained to. So I'd definitely say your childcare hours and your video are super important when finding a family.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you put lots of energy and lots of effort into your application and your answers, and you really think about a lot of the answers, it will definitely attract the right type of family as well, and it will also obviously attract interest. So, consider it as like a school project, and put as much effort as you can in to get that A. I see there's a question here from Taylor, who wants to know about the application and the documents, and that do we need to submit an HIV result, or is it a must or not? So it isn't for the USA, and it isn't, but it is for the Netherlands and Germany. So it really just depends on the au pair program that you're applying for, but you wouldn't need it for the USA. And then I think there's another question underneath that is for you, Phillipa. How difficult was it finding a family as an 18-year-old au pair?
So it wasn't very difficult at all. I think some families, they want someone young because like you have more energy and stuff like that. So I don't think your age is a really big problem. Once again, I think it fell on my profile, like how impressive my profile was, because I've been in childcare my whole life, because my mom and I were heavily involved in our children's ministry in our church. So I had tons of hours. So I think also with just like the photos you post, I mean not post, the photos you put on your profile are super important. And also please remember that host families do look at your social media. So if your social media has like really bad photos or just not as respectful in like a childcare kind of way, then they will most probably not want to interview you. So I think just making sure that everywhere, all your different profiles and everything, they all match your personality. So that when you get over there, it's not a different person that they are meeting. So I think, yeah, just your profile. That's all. I'm just pushing profile because it's obviously your most important part.
Thanks so much. There was a question here. Oh, here we go. Tiff, you can answer this one for us. Are you able to go to school whilst you're on the program? I'm assuming that they're probably referring to the whole study aspect of the program. So how does that work? And what did you do when you did your study component?
So as an au pair, you do go on a J1 visa, which is a work and study visa. So within your program, your family pay $500 towards you studying in America, because it is a requirement as an au pair. So you can go to a community college and use that money to do like maybe a semester or so, because I think you need 12 credits. Correct me if I'm wrong.
60 credits, I think. I
Okay.
think, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So what I did personally is I didn't go to a community college. They do the au pair care have a variety of different things that you can actually choose to get those credits. So I actually chose there was a program that I could go and do a dramatic arts course at UCLA and go and do that to get my credits. So that was really cool. I went to Los Angeles, and in the course they took us to Hollywood. We were in we were at UCLA. We were in lecture rooms. We did performing arts like shows for each other. we learned a lot. And then another one was there's like a beauty course online that you can do. They also just, when I was leaving, sadly, they made one for a photography course in Hawaii. So you could go and get credits in Hawaii doing photography. So there are a whole variety of different things that you can do and different options that you could do. But yeah, alternatively, you could go to a community college and get your credits there. You just need to work out with your family how to work your hours.
Yeah, and to obviously run your schedule around your studying and not the other way
Yeah.
around. Cool. Thanks, Tiffany. There's a couple of questions also just with regards to childcare hours and how to get that. I know Keone says that they don't really have a lot of charity organizations in her area. So how can she get her hours? And then there's a question further down that also asks with regards to hours and how can you get your hours. Phillipa, how did you get your hours to qualify for the program?
Okay, so I did, like I said, I was heavily involved with our church. So a lot of my hours came from children's church, but I did lots of babysitting. During the holidays, I would open my little play school for like half a day while parents were obviously working during holidays. And I knew kids were like on school break. So I would just hold little play groups in my garage and do stuff like that. I also used to help with kids' birthday parties. Like if I knew somebody had a kid and wanted to make a big hoo-ha on their party, I was like, let me plan your games for you and stuff like that. So I really did try in my community with people close to me. Like I didn't have to go very far to find people to get my hours. I think because you also got to remember that it's from when you were 14 years old. So it's not just like this year. You can build up your hours from quite a while ago. And then also, we don't need the exact amount, like the exact date you started, ended. It's just an estimate so that we can tell like how long you did it. Obviously, you do put your dates in, but like you don't have to put exactly how many hours. It's just like an estimate. So that helps as well because like I can't remember my hours from when I was 14. So yeah, that's with regards to childcare hours, that really does help. And I see there was one about the cars.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the automatic cars. So I can't tell you to get a South African automatic driver's license because like I don't know if you have an automatic car. I think with my dad, he always said just go for the full license because then you can drive both. So it's totally up to you. I can't tell you exactly what to do, but just know that you will be driving an automatic car in America. And then from Courtney, so we start our applications from when you are 17 years old. So if you're in grade 11, you're welcome to start your application. You just have to be 18 by the time you depart. Well, no, sorry, from when we submit your application. So you are more than welcome to start your application even though you're at grade 11. So
She's 18, so
yeah.
so she's all good. But she would need to have a matric, but you can start your application now.
Yes. Obviously you'll have to wait a lot longer to like actually leave because you can grade 11. But you can definitely start your profile now.
Cool. And then I think one last question that Zwan wants to know is if the family gives you access to the car during your off time, are you responsible for the petrol or is it on them? Tiffany, what did you have a car? Well, yeah, you did have a car, hey? Yeah.
Yes. So I also had a little minivan. It was a car that we shared, but it was like my family used their other car more for them. So I had the minivan more often than not. But the family, for anything child related, they paid for the petrol, obviously, but anything I did in my own time, that was on me. So if it was so to say, like if it was in our like area, then they were fine with paying for my petrol. But obviously, if I wanted to travel out of state or do long drives, then I had to cover my own petrol. Yeah.
Okay, 100%. I think that's it. I think we've covered all the questions. I don't know if any of you guys want to add anything, but I think we've reached our time as well. So
I
thank you
just
so
had
much
one,
to.
sorry,
Oh.
just one, only just one question on Facebook come in. They asked, was it a challenge adapting to cultural differences in America?
Who's going to answer?
Anyone can answer this.
I think it was definitely interesting. It was a big adjustment, but not in terms of what you would think. I think it completely depends how you go into America. And like for me personally, my host family were super, super inviting, super welcoming. They made a big effort to like not silly things, but small things that made a big difference. So they try to bring as much as South Africa into the house as they could for me. And then they kind of slowly but surely got me into like the American culture and all of that. But it wasn't like a crazy adjustment or anything. It was very smooth sailing. Yeah. I don't know if it was different for Phillipa.
I think also to add on that is they also love it, like absolutely love it, when you make your traditional meals as well.
Mm.
Like my host dad loved milk tart. So like every single week he was like, "Are you making milk tart? Are you making milk tart?" So it was like it's really nice when you get to bring your culture in because they know that like you are experience a big culture. Like their food just in general is so different to ours. So something with food is just try and integrate their stuff with your stuff. And I mean, now I'm making their recipes in South Africa. So it's really nice where you get to learn other people's cultures, but then also you can teach them yours as well. And something to add in there with culture is also languages. They love it when you can teach their kids like a language, not like fully, like fluently, but like some phrases in Afrikaans and Zulu, Siswati, like they really do love it. So yeah, I think just integrate the two cultures just in your family really helps with the transition period into like being a part of their family.
Okay, great. I think that's it. So thanks so much to everyone for attending, and thank you for listening to us. And I think if you guys have any other questions, we don't just have Tiffany and Phillipa in OVC that have all paired. We have more than a couple of our staff members that have actually had their own au pair experience, whether it's in the USA or in Europe. So definitely, if it's something that if you need to chat to anybody about it, then just reach out to your OVC consultant. If that person hasn't au paired, we can put you in touch with someone who's either there or who's either, recently come back so that you can hear it from the horse's mouth. But yeah, I think that's it. And thank you so much. And have a lovely evening, ladies. Cheers.